Thank you. I don't want to hit video. Hey, everybody. I was having a bit of technical difficulty, so I am now with you. We'll give it a minute and see who else can come on, and then we'll go from there.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How's it going, Tony? Or Anthony, sorry.
It's okay. Call me either or, and everything's fine.
Cool.
How's everything with you?
You know, I think I'll survive after a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm good. All right, we'll go ahead and start. It looks like we got a group of people here, so we'll get going. Want to thank all of you for coming today. We're going to be talking about the new brochure that we've created, and we'll just kind of jump in right away. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can do that. And I'll hit share. We'll kind of move this over a little bit, hit this. And there we go. Can you all see that? Thumbs up? Yes. Okay, cool. Here we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we've done, and it's introducing the new buyer's blueprint. And the home buyer's blueprint was created for a specific reason, and we're hoping that you can all use it in what's going on with the changes in the marketplace. And we'll talk about why we created this piece. And it's kind of interesting. It was in part for reasons that I'll cover in just a minute, but I saw this interesting statistic that came up, and it was a survey done this year, about the middle part of this year, just before the forms changes came into effect. And it specifically was about what buyers think, home buyers think, how much time we spend as agents representing them. And I'm going to put this up here so you can see this. 25% of them feel that we spent 10 hours or less representing them. Can you believe that? What's worse is that 46% of the 500 buyers felt we spent 15 hours or less. Now, we all know that you spend a lot more than 15 hours, right? And that half of them, almost half, believe that that's all we spend, right? In actuality, we know that the number is somewhere between 80 and 100 hours that we spend in a standard residential real estate transaction. And that's not to say if we have a whole bunch of issues or things that we've got to go through and do, right? But that's part of the reason that we created this piece, which is substantively more communication is necessary if we're really going to be doing the things that we need to be doing as it relates to buyers and sellers, particularly in this case, buyers, and that's what this is all about. So with all the changes in the forms that came, it was a necessity to meet with buyers now in advance of even showing them home and to do a presentation. So we wanted to create something that you could use to facilitate those conversations. And think about what we're asking them to do. We're used to sitting with a seller and going over the information that they need to have. And we have a listing presentation because we do that with them and we're prepared. We have all of the information. We sit down with them. We go through it. We talk about our marketing plan. We talk about buyers, how we locate them. We talk about the transaction. We talk about closing. We talk about all the things that we need to have. We even go over some of the forms with them. But we've never had to do that with buyers. Sometimes we just meet a buyer and we try when we first meet them to establish some kind of rapport with them. Now we're asking them to sign something with us before we even show them houses and before we have an opportunity to really establish a rapport, build trust with them, get to know them. So this piece was designed to be more like a buyer's presentation. It's written in a conversational format. So it's written in first person. When you see it, it's gonna say I, or it's gonna say we. And the purpose in doing this was allow you to refer to it at any time and even simply just read from it, and it'll sound like it's coming from you to them. Its stated purpose really is to give them some information about the process of buying, what it's like, how they're going to go through it. It gives you an opportunity to create rapport and trust because you're giving them perhaps information they didn't already have. You're hopefully informing them that this is a process that is much more than just 15 hours. And then it's supposed to lead them to sign a BRBC, although they've never ever met you before. So it's a process or a conversation that leads to that, and you'll see it addressed at the very beginning. So let's take a look at it, see what it says. After the cover page, this is the first place they come to, and it's kind of a roadmap to the buying process. It talks about understanding your wants and needs, moves to identifying their timeline, finding the best loan, exploring neighborhoods, understanding contracts, inspections, negotiating the best deal for them, managing the escrow process, closing the transaction, and then ongoing support after the transaction. This kind of gives them just a little roadmap to what they're going to be experiencing in the process with you. And they may not necessarily have thought of these things if they're a first-time home buyer, or even if they're buying again, about the timeline of the process. You'll notice that it shows them that you identify the timeline, and then they have to find the best loan. That really starts before exploring neighborhoods. You've got to know what these people qualify for. So it kind of sets the tone and shows them the process that we're going to go through. So we thought we would start with the white elephant in the room, which is understanding the new home buying laws. And notice here off to the left, it says the importance of signed agreements safeguarding your home buying journey. So as you know, some of the laws were passed recently that require buyers and agents to have a signed agreement even before starting to look at homes. And now remember, this is a conversation. I understand that you may be unsure about signing something up front, especially if we're just getting to know one another. But the intent behind the law is to ensure that everyone is clear for both of us right from the start. It's about protecting your interest and ensuring that I'm committed towards the process and following up with you. So it's kind of setting the ground rules and saying, this is something we need to do. Here's why we need to do it. And it's talking about signing an agreement, because that's what you're going to ask them to do at the end of going through this with them. So let's look a little bit about how that process works. And if a lot of you have had very good success in going through and getting buyers to sign BRBCs. And some of you have wondered about the verbiage that you might use. And the way this is set up is you can refer to it any time and simply just read it. If you don't have the verbiage to talk with buyers yet, this will give you that opportunity. So let's just kind of go through it and we'll read it. It says, look at the previous agent buyer compensation. Historically, the seller and their agent negotiated how much the buyer's agent would be paid and included that amount in the offering price of the home. This allowed the buyer to come up with less money up front for the acquisition costs at closing. To be clear, commissions payable to the agents involved in the transactions have always been negotiable, but were almost always decided upon by the seller and their agent. So it sets the stage for what used to be. Now it moves to how the new laws have changed the process. Although the structure of the transaction remains the same, the law now requires the buyer and their agent to agree upfront on the amount their agent will be paid. This means that you and I must reach an agreement on what I will be compensated to represent your interests and to negotiate for you. The choices that we can the choices are that we can negotiate whatever amount we have agreed on to be paid by the seller, just as it was before, or you can agree to pay for my service out of pocket at the close of escrow. So it's letting them know up front that there's a commitment to pay you, but we're letting them know that that needs to be signed and agreed to up front. It says, if you prefer that the seller is the one to compensate me, it will simply be included and negotiated in your offer. So right away, they're scared they have to pay you, but now we've shown them how we're going to fix that problem. We are additionally required to establish that up front and sign an agreement that coincides with what we have agreed to. So again, it's saying you're going to sign something and we're going to have to make that arrangement. It can be all inclusive for a period of time or just for certain properties. It all depends on what you and I agree to. So again, it's saying this is a joint decision. This is something we're going to do together, and this is something that we need to accomplish. So then it quickly moves to next steps. So today I want to walk you through the steps of the home buying process, help you get a sense of how I work, and answer any questions you have. So our purpose here is, again, to try to build rapport and trust and inform them, right? That way, by the end of our conversation, you'll feel confident about moving forward, and we can put our agreement in place so that I can start helping you find your new home. So again, it's leading towards the signing of an agreement and the BRBC. It's letting them know that up front. So now it takes them from this building trust from the start. Buying a new home is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. My job is to make it easy and enjoyable as possible. Here's how we'll approach the process together. So it's just saying, here's how I work. This is what we're going to need to do. Now, what it does is it takes each one of those steps that we saw from the roadmap and places it here and gives just a brief understanding of what that means. So it says, first, it's really important that we get crystal clear on what you're looking for, whether you're focused on a particular neighborhood, a specific style of home, or features that are must-haves. I'm here to listen and to guide you. We'll have an open conversation to define what you want, and this way I can help you find the home that truly fits your lifestyle. Again, it's not just 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's about a lifestyle. How do I hear you? How do I understand what you're looking for? You have to remember that what's important to them is that you hear them. Remember, they won't remember what you say, but they will remember how you make them feel. So this is about a conversation and listening to them. I'm going to show you something that we've created that will really help with this process, that you can even get them in advance if you choose to do so. So it moves to the next step, identifying your timeline. Next, we'll talk about your timeline. Is there a specific date you need to move by? Do we have some flexibility to wait for the perfect home? Knowing this helps me start our search and manage our expectations for both of us. So these are very short statements, and their purpose is to give you an intro in the conversation on that topic. You can move this in any way you choose, and all you have to do is be prompted. You can take it any further. You don't have to hit this point by point up front. You can move through this quickly, or you can stop here and briefly talk about that if you choose to do so. And it's designed, remember, as a conversation. Finding the best loan. Once we've established your wants and timeline, we'll work on getting you pre-approved for a loan. You notice we use not pre-qualified, but we use pre-approved. If you haven't done so already, I'll connect you with trusted mortgage advisors who will walk you through the best loan options for your financial situation. Pre-approval is key because it shows sellers that you're serious, and it gives us a clear budget to work with. And I can help you find the home that truly fits your lifestyle. Remember that before, we used to kind of go out and show them a house and then kind of determine whether that was where they were. Some of us may have tried to pre-qualify them when we talked to them on the phone before we went through this process, but oftentimes we were just showing up at the house to show them a house. This enables you to have this conversation about loans, and there's another part at the end of this that we'll go through that's an adjunct that the marketing team has created for us. So let's move to 4. This is the next step. Once the financial side is squared away, we start focusing on the fun part, finding your home. We'll talk about the different areas, tour neighborhoods, explore homes that fit your needs. I'll handle the legwork of previewing homes for you, saving you time and energy by only showing you properties that are worth your attention. So again, it's letting them know the amount of time that you spend behind the scenes before you ever arrange a showing. Now, you and I both know they're going to be looking on Zillow or some other method of looking at properties, and they're going to send you things. This is a great opportunity for you to say, as I look for these things, if you see something, don't hesitate in sending it to me so I can go take a look at it in advance. 5, understanding contracts and inspections. When we find a home you'll love, I'll guide you through the necessary paperwork. Real estate contracts and inspections can seem overwhelming, but I'll guide you through the details before we sign anything. Transparency and clarity are key here. I'm always available to answer your questions that you may have. One of the things that you might insert as part of the conversation here is that in a standard real estate transaction, there are some 98 to 114 forms that could become part of the process. You're familiar with these forms, you know what they are. You'll be able to walk them through the process of all of those forms. And remember that number, somewhere between 98 and 114 in a standard real estate transaction. Negotiating the best deal for you. Once we're ready to make an offer, I'll negotiate for your behalf and get you the best deal possible. This can be one of the more nerve-wracking steps, but I'm here to make sure you're comfortable with every decision we make and that we're positioning you to secure the home you really want. So it says again, look, I'm on your side. I'm going to be here working with you. It's a negotiation process. It's not just here's my offer, accept it. There might be going back and forth. They need to know what their options are at each stage. This gives you the opportunity to talk about how that process goes. This is also where you could mention that if they are looking for the seller to pay a concession to them for your agreement and payment in the transaction, this is where that negotiation with the seller would take place. Let's move forward now to the next step, which is managing the escrow process. And buyers have heard of this thing called escrow, but they really don't know what it means. So after your offer is accepted, we move into escrow. I'll oversee this process, making sure that deadlines are met and documents are in order. You'll never feel like you're in the dark. I'll keep you informed every step of the way. Now, you and I both know that the transaction coordinator is basically going to do that. Escrow is basically going to do that. But they need to know that this might involve the study of a preliminary title report. It might involve looking at liens on the property. It might be going through things that appear on the title report or in the preliminary title report that they're not aware of. And so your opportunity here is to have that conversation about those things that might come up. But this at least gives you the start to talk to them about the escrow process. Closing the deal. On the day of closing, I'll coordinate the final details. You'll have everything you need. And when the time comes, I'll personally hand you the keys to your new home. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole job. So you close the transaction. Are you going to abandon them at that point? No. You're going to let them know that there's going to be ongoing support after closing. So it says, my job doesn't end when you move in. Whether you need a contractor for contractor recommendations or have questions after the fact, I'll be there to be your go-to resource. I'm committed to building a relationship for life, not just during this one transaction. Again, now you've walked them through that roadmap that you showed them initially. Now we get to the next part, the importance of our agreement. Now we decide on our working relationship. With the new law, it's now required that we agree up front on how I'll be compensated for representing you. We can either agree that the seller will cover my fee, as has traditionally been the case, or we can structure it in a way that best fits your situation. The most important thing is that everything is transparent and we're on the same page from the beginning. This protects both of us and ensures that I'm working 100% for your best interest. This is a time when now you can talk about the BRBC, you can even pull it out, you can begin going through it and the process. If you sense that there's a need to go further, you quite haven't won them over yet, then you can go to this page, why you should work with me. Now, this particular page is a generic page, and you can just drop your name and picture in here, or you can have marketing create a bio page for you that you insert before or after this page that gives some of the background about you personally, why they should work with you, your specific unique selling proposition, your track record, any of those things that you might have wanted to use here. That's it. That's how simple this buyer's consultation or buyer's blueprint really is. Hopefully, it's left you enough room to have a conversation at each of those stages, but at least you have a start or an introduction to it so that you can begin this process of establishing rapport with them, building trust. You're giving them information that they may not have known, but it also, if you'll see, has been focused on getting them to sign a BRBC, because that's what this is about. It's really taking what we've done for sellers all along in a listing presentation and moving it into working with buyers. Now, our perception is that we're going to may see even stronger changes to that after the Department of Justice gets involved in the case in November the 17th, with any changes that might come from this. So getting used to this, having this document hopefully will be helpful to you. I said that we had created something else, and this is like awesome, awesome, awesome that the marketing department has created this for us. And it's this. It is a fillable PDF that is a buyer's questionnaire. It's 3 pages. You can email it to the client. They can fill it out online and print it or save it and send it back to you. They can print it and fill it out. My suggestion would be that you take one of these in blank with you, print it out, and you take it in advance, or you take it to this presentation that you would do with them, just in case they haven't already sent it to you. Both of these things, the presentation itself and this, can be added to your website if you choose to add them that way. There can be a page for that. They are right now available in Moxie. You can begin using them tomorrow if you choose to do so. I hope that's been a decent overview. You need to put your hands on it, look at it, see how you would use it, and go through that process individually. So I'm going to let you look at this slide and just say, I'm sure you've got some questions. So let's talk about that a little bit. Give me your reactions. Tell me what you think.
I think this is super cool, and it just like lays everything out and just makes it so much easier.
Okay, cool. Is it something you think you would use?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Did anybody think did it give you any verbiage that you might be able to use in what you've already been trying to accomplish on your own?
Yes.
Okay, good. Anybody else have an opinion about it?
I think the verbiage was pretty straightforward and pretty easy to comprehend.
Okay, good. Good.
Could this be customizable for commercial agents as well?
You know, we've talked about that, and believe it or not, there's a meeting next week to talk about documentation and things that might be available for commercial agents. And we have a meeting, if I'm not mistaken, about that on next Thursday. My suspicion is because it isn't necessary for a commercial client to sign a BRBC at this juncture, we're expecting that to be the case in the fourth quarter of this year. So I would imagine within short order, we could put this together and have it be that. There obviously needs to be some adjustments to this document for commercial and how commercial works. But I, like you, am expecting that to be a change that will either come with DOJ's involvement or with Gavin Newsom's signing of the current bill that's sitting on his desk. Was that a diplomatic response to your question, or was that a political response?
It was wonderful.
Okay. Any other questions? Look, my suggestion is go into Moxie, pull this thing up, and start reading it. Don't view it as not what you have to say, but as a way to initiate each of the sections. Put it into your own words so that it kind of rolls off your tongue. But if you're in a presentation, you're sitting with a client and they ask a question, the way we wrote it hopefully is a way that you can just turn to that page, point to it, begin to read it, and then go off on your own thing and be able to have this conversation that builds with them and that they understand and that they are accepting. It's about an opportunity to do like you do with a listing presentation, to give them information, to show them your knowledge base, to show them that you're professional. In some cases, you may wish to advance this to them, and then it just becomes arbitrary. Your first meeting with them, they just sign a BRBC and you move on. You don't have to even go through all of this. If that works out, great. If it doesn't, then you have this to move to, and you can say, like that document that I sent you, let's go back, let's go over to page 3, item 4, that talks about what you're asking me about. Gives you a little bit of a start and then allows you to have the conversation. So hopefully this will all put you in that place where you can do that. Any other thoughts? No? All right. You all received an invitation, and starting tomorrow, there will be 4, I think, or 5 of these workshops that we're going to do in office. Beginning tomorrow, there is an in-office workshop at 10 a.m. in Sonoma, and at I can't remember whether it's 1 or 2 in the afternoon here in, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here at Bicentennial. And you're welcome to attend any of them. There's another one on Thursday, and then there's one on Wednesday of next week. But come to one of them. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop me an email, give me a call, any of those things that could help you. Again, if you want to make some updates by inserting your own bio page, make sure to be in touch with Laura and the marketing team, or through Kristen, to be able to create your bio page that you would insert. Or you can simply drop your picture and phone number in there and move forward, because it's already in Moxie. So go into Moxie, take a look at it, see how you feel about it. Try to come to one of the workshops. We'll role play it and we'll go through it. And if you have any questions, I'm here, and so is staff, to help you answer those questions. Thank you all for coming. I hope this will be of benefit to you, and we'll catch you on the other side at one of the workshops. Take care, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.